the chief of pathology at Memorial Hospital in Burlington County. We want to get some more reaction now to what is going on. Joining us from Los Angeles is Micheal Slonik. He's editor-in-chief for globalgrind.com. First of all, Micheal, I know you're passionate about these issues. Your reaction to the charges now going up against these 6 police officers?
Well, I think the state attorney did the right thing. I think she did it quickly and bravely, and today came out with charges against 6 of the officers. I think it calms a lot of things down as the Baltimore police was leaking horrible information and misinformation and simply lies out to the media. Finally, we get some basis of the truth. I thought her press conference today laid it out methodically and very intently, and we look forward to the next 30 days of this process to actually get an indictment before a grand jury.
Well, let's talk a little bit about bigger picture, the focus on Baltimore as a community moving forward. What do you believe needs to be done?
Well, I think, look, Wolf, there has been one thing I want to give a tremendous amount of credit for and uplift the words of the state attorney today was this idea. She said, as young people, now is our time. She even referenced that she was listening to the chants of no justice, no peace. There are folks around this country, from Los Angeles, the founders of Black Lives Matter, Alicia and Opal and Patrice, and folks in Ferguson who have been marching for hundreds and hundreds of days, and New York Justice League in New York, and Be More Block in Baltimore, and 300 Men, and folks, a million hoodies, and folks all around this country, mostly black and brown young people who've been peacefully protesting and fighting for justice. And finally, for white people like you and me, well, it's hard for us to understand that these things are happening on a regular basis in black and brown communities. We saw Walter Scott get killed in a videotape in South Carolina just a month ago. This country was outraged, white and black and Latino and everything in between. And now when we see this today, many of us, we had doubts. Was this true? Did he really get, why did they stop him? Did he do anything wrong? And finally, we're getting some sense of the truth. This man did nothing wrong. He was illegally stopped. And we know if it happened to him, it happened to hundreds, probably thousands across this country.
It's a really sad situation because as Elijah Cummings, the congressman who represents this district in Baltimore, has said if it can happen in Baltimore, it can happen any place. And I assume you agree.
There's nothing unique, sadly, right, about Ferguson or Baltimore or New York. We have a system of policing that has gone horribly wrong. I'm not saying it's one bad apple or one bad scene or one bad cop, but a system of policing that has gone after and waged a war against black and brown America that we've coded as the war on drugs, and it failed miserably. So we're stopping people for walking while black or driving while black or selling loosey cigarettes and choking them to death. I mean, we are stopping people for these quality of life, broken windows policies that are ending up breaking spines and killing people.
You think it's going to be quiet, these protests that are presumably going to go through the weekend?
Well, look, I am a proud American. I believe strongly that our First Amendment right is our most powerful one, and that gives people the right to peacefully protest and grieve against and grieve against their government. I certainly hope and believe that young people across this country, they have led this movement. They have been. This is a leader-full movement, and I hope they continue to lead and continue to march and continue to exercise that First Amendment right. I expect nothing but peaceful protests around this country. But I say this, Wolf: the police have much more of control of how these protests happen, because they are the ones. I was in New York just 2 nights ago. You saw the reaction in Baltimore. If they come with peace, these things will be peaceful. If they come ready to fight, if they come with riot gear ready to hit these kids, these things might get out of control. So the police have a tremendous amount of power of how these things turn out, and they have to be peaceful as well.
What recommendation do you have, not just for African Americans, but for all Americans right now? What do we all need to start thinking about and doing?
Well, I think, Wolf, that, for all Americans in this country, we have to come to realization that Black lives matter. And we recognize, of course, all lives matter. That's been said for 250 years in this country, but specifically Black lives matter. And that young people of color, especially black young men and black young women, Rekia Board, just 2 weeks ago, the charges were dropped. We just don't believe these stories are truthful. And as we have new technologies and videotapes and camera phones and things, and we see things with our own eyes, we're finally believing that they're actually telling us the truth. So all of us have to come together and uplift the solutions to these problems. We have to transform and make a 21st century police force in every city, every mayor in this country should be looking at their police force and how can they make a better police force, a more productive police force, a police force that protects and serves the community, not just protects the community, and gets rid of these archaic laws that are locking people up for no apparent reason and leading to officers abusing their power and ultimately killing people.
All right. Micheal Slonik, editor-in-chief, globalgrind.com. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Wolf.
That's it for me. I'll be back 5